This for another episode of Lightbulb Moments. I'm Tom Kuhn. I'm your host and curator. We would like to thank our sponsors, who include Lightheart Sanders and Zenoti. And we're glad you joined us today and that you're spending your precious attention and time with us. So thank you for that. Whether you're joining us live or listening to the podcast or viewing us on YouTube, we hope that you have some lightbulb moments from this episode. So today's episode will be short, and I'm going to do it solo. And I guess the theme of it falls under the general theme of technology and touch, tech and touch. And it's inspired not only by this weekend, but also some recent interactions I've had with people. In particular, direct or indirect interactions with two nonagenarians, which are 90-plus-year-old people, and one octogenarian. And I guess the question that I'm going to pose today, or the topic, is really going to be about preserving generational wisdom. So I hope you enjoy this, and I'm curious to hear some of your thoughts as we go through this. So this past weekend, this is the beginning of June 2025, so this would have been the very end of May, early June. I was part of a series of events in Orlando, including a beauty industry roundtable, which Aaron and I were privileged to attend. It's limited to a certain number of people. It's beauty executives, it's movers and shakers, and those that really are on the forefront of the industry, a lot of beauty brand executives. And so it was a 3-hour roundtable, and it was really conducted by Beauty Changes Lives, which is a board that I was on for 4 years. And now I've moved into I guess, President's Council or something like that. So I'm still involved. Anyway, at this roundtable, the theme was technology. And one of the board members, Charles Brown, who is the founder and I guess co-owner of Clicks, was able to have his mentor attend and be part of this roundtable. And his name is Vint Cerf. You can look him up. He is giving wide credit as being a founder of the internet. And he joined us at 81 years young. And during the roundtable, there was an interview in front of everybody, in front of all 75 of us, with questions by Charles Brown put on Vint Cerf, who's very sharp, who's very smart, and now serves as a member of I don't know if he's the chief something at Google. So he's not retired by any means. And we got to witness this interview of somebody who was there literally at the very beginning of the internet. And so this conversation went on. And then meanwhile, we had a breakouts. Everybody at this roundtable broke off into groups. And the group that I was with is on this topic of tech and technology and touch. And I was in a roundtable with several executives and et cetera. And we had this side conversation on technology and touch. And it really just struck me that here we sat, with this gentleman who is, he's not going to live forever. None of us are going to live forever. And he was sharing his wisdom in a very charming, smart, and interactive way. And then what happened is on the next morning, I happened to be in the lobby of the hotel getting a cup of coffee, and the board invited me to sit in on a pre-board breakfast because Vint Cerf was going to be there. So I got to sit in on about a 75-minute master class, which was priceless, to really hear about the evolution of the internet, the threats, the opportunities, and people were just peppering him with questions. And it was super fascinating, and I felt very privileged to be a part of this. Now, I want to link this with some other things that really inspired me to do this episode about preserving generational wisdom. So recently, I think that several of you are aware that Dr. Stuart Brown, who is 92 years young, was part of a great podcast episode. In fact, it was one of my favorite in last year, which earned it an award as the Golden Light Bulb. And we had the opportunity to have generational wisdom from Dr. Brown, and who is the foremost authority on play in the world. Literally wrote the book on play, and it's just check out other episodes. And his granddaughter is preserving this generational wisdom through a nonprofit, because she's concerned, and we're all concerned, that the concept of play, especially in this generation that really probably doesn't know how to play or haven't had permission to play, or all of us really are guilty of moving away from a playful environment, even though the research is overwhelming in how it affects workforce satisfaction, retention, creativity, and all of that. So you have another example of an opportunity of preserving generational wisdom by having access to another treasure. And then there's a final sort of generational wisdom here, another nonagenarian, and that is someone by the name of Father Don Tilforus, which none of you probably have heard about. But here I'm in Minnesota, and he has been part of the St. John's University in Collegeville, Minnesota. I've never met him, but he just passed at 99. And he's a monk, teacher, mentor, chaplain, and a deep listener. So a friend of mine really had this thought that Father Don was a friend to everybody, okay? And knew everybody's name, and very genuine. So what he did is he actually created a podcast with this guy, Coffee with Father Don, and preserved generational wisdom through a series of like 7-minute podcasts. You can check it out. It's called Coffee with Father Don. And it just struck me that it's up to us to preserve generational wisdom. So I have a friend that has a great business. He's a speaker and she teaches courses and stuff. And he just went into a studio, and what they did is they cloned him. They actually cloned he and his wife and created like an online course, which I think is great. And it's very forward thinking. And I think there will be cloned courses based upon, using human and turned into AI generated, whatever. But are we ready for that? Are we ready to have education by clones of ourselves, as opposed to the direct interaction with the human? I think we're at a fundamental point in history where we can choose as a generation, if we preserve this wisdom through interviews, podcasts, sessions like this. I mean, this is priceless. I'm just super inspired by people like this. People, not just the octogenarian or the nanogenarians, the two I mentioned, but those that see the value of preserving that wisdom. At this point in history, we can make choices, whether we lean into artificial intelligence, which we need to. But when did artificial actually become a good word? And what about authenticity? So that's kind of where my head and heart is that we are in unprecedented change to humankind, and none of us have any idea what the hell is coming. But authenticity and humans, I think, is something that we need to double down on. So the whole community concept is and, not or. So how do you embrace technology and touch? How do you embrace artificial intelligence and authentic intelligence? I guess that's the question for today. So a little bit of a weird episode. but I think it's an important topic, and I felt compelled to share it. So thanks for listening in today, and hopefully that together we will stay weird. Yep. Hopefully we're going to figure this out. Hopefully we're going to find that balance as we have generations behind us that have really lost the ability for human connection. And the bittersweet use of the cell phone and being face planted to your cell phone is something that is extremely dangerous. So anyway, let's preserve generational wisdom. Let's match artificial with authenticity, and let's approach these upcoming moments in a pace of change that none of us have any idea where it's going. And what a treat it is to spend time with all of you this week. And thank you for your messages. All right. We'll see you next week. And thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. All right. Bye.